This is Michael Cowan, and welcome to Trial Lawyer Nation.
You are the leader in the courtroom, and you want the jury to be looking to you for the answers.
When you figure out your theory, never deviate.
You want the facts to be consistent, complete, and credible.
The defense has no problem running out the clock. Delay is the friend of the defense.
It's tough to grow a firm by trying to hold on and micromanage.
You've got to front load a simple structure for jurors to be able to hold on to.
What types of creative things can we do as lawyers, even though we don't have a trial setting?
Whatever you've got to do to make it real, you've got to do to make it real. But the person who needs convincing is you.
Welcome to the award-winning podcast Trial Lawyer Nation, your source to win bigger verdicts, get more cases, and manage your law firm. And now, here's your host, noteworthy author, sought-after speaker, and renowned trial lawyer, Michael Cowan.
We're going to start a new feature on this podcast. It's Ask Michael and Mallory Anything. If you have anything you'd like to ask either Mallory or me, we're going to start doing an episode every couple months where we're going to answer your questions. So just send them in to me at michael@cowanlaw.com, and Mallory and I will answer them. Anything from, legal strategy, marketing management, anything else in life you want to talk about, we'll be glad to talk about it with you. Again, Ask Michael and Mallory Anything. Just send us an email. We'll be glad to answer your questions. Today on Trial Lawyer Nation, we have a blast from the past. We have Delisi Friday. Delisi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Feels great to be back.
So for our longtime listeners, you may remember Delisi not only as the voice of the podcast, she used to do our introduction, but she also is the person that helped create the podcast and has been a guest before. But actually, before I jump in too much, I have to thank our sponsor, LawPods. LawPods does all our production. They just did our sound check together. They edit this. They make us both look good and sound good, which is no small feat with me. It's easy with you. And I highly recommend LawPods. That being said, how are you doing, Delisi?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I'm so excited we're back together. I think the audience will be too.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
A lot, actually. I went to take an opportunity to go be chief of staff to Arjan Robbins. Arjan is an attorney who created the business How to Manage a Small Law Firm. So I took that opportunity to learn the other side of running a law firm, the management, the operations side, the financial side. Learned a lot. And spent 2 years with him, expanded my network thanks to everyone at How to Manage a Small Law Firm, and realized that I wanted to put this magic wand of mine that has more magic in it, thanks to him, to the test. And I don't think I would have done this if he hadn't been in my life, but I decided to start my own business and now help more lawyers with their legal marketing, which I know I love, thanks to you.
Well, thank you. And this podcast wouldn't be here without you, and our business wouldn't be what it is today without you. So I do, to this day, still appreciate you greatly in my life.
Thank you.
What is your current business called?
First Call Friday.
And what do you do?
I help lawyers with their legal marketing to help them get more attorney case referrals.
All right. Well, I can attest that you helped us build that model here in Texas. And before I go to that, though, I want to dive into some of the things you're doing, but I want to go into what you've learned in your years working with how to run a small law firm. Now, I know we can't go through 2 years worth of learning in one, but what are some big things you learned?
Sure. So when I worked with Arjan, I actually worked with him on the enterprise. He's an 8-figure serial entrepreneur. So How to Manage a Small Law Firm is one of his businesses. We actually created an 8-figure business together. And I learned from him how important it is to have processes, procedures, and leadership within a law firm. I also learned how important it is to have a strong handle on your financials. Arjan wrote the book Profit First for Lawyers when I was with him, and I helped him market the book. But I also learned everything in the book. And I realized how important it is for law firm owners to look at their numbers, do something with that information, and make sure it's accurate, because you're just running your law firm with your head in the sand if you don't pay attention to that information. And I see now just how important that is if you want to grow your law firm and you want to make it more efficient.
So for contingent fee law firms, especially personal injury, I hear people argue, well, you can't really value a case because you don't know what's going to happen. And, it might get better. It might get worse. Maybe there'll be a continuance. You don't know when it's going to settle. So it's just really impossible to do any kind of financial forecasting. What do you say?
I say that is a big fat excuse.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a page in that book that talks about it because you can still know your numbers if you're a contingency fee law firm. There was an episode where Chad Dudley came on the show and he talked about the ranking system that he uses in his law firm.
Yeah.
If you are paying attention to those case rankings in your law firm and you are making the people on your team and holding them accountable for putting information in your case management system to tell you when is that case going to settle and approximately how much do you plan on it settling for, you can have a grasp on your numbers. I also think having a budget variance report on your desk every 30 days is critical because if you create a budget and you follow a budget, but you're not paying attention to how much that budget changed, then you still aren't using that information to its fullest potential. So I'm a huge fan of a budget variance report, which I never thought I would ever say. But it is so key, especially in contingency fee firms. It's so important because you really don't know what's going to happen. So you have to stay on top of that information and make sure your team is putting that information in the system and it's accurate.
I'd argue it'd be even more important, if not equally important, in non-contingent fee firms because when the contingency fee, you get a big case that allows you to be sloppy because it's not a good practice. You end up making more money if you're not sloppy, but it's like kind of the plaintiff lawyer mindset is, okay, it's all going to hell, but I'm going to hit that one big case and I'll catch up and then at least I'm out of the hole. Whereas if you're on doing hourly or flat fee work, you don't have that big hit and you have to really stay within your budget. So I think, but definitely contingent fee, you can get eaten up. I've had years where I had record revenue, but not record profit. And a lot of that has to do with, some of it has to do with growth, but some of it has to do with not watching the budget carefully enough and not holding certain things certain parts of the firm accountable for, paying for themselves. And I will tell you, you'll be proud. We do a ranking on every case. I make my lawyers update it monthly, and it includes both a 1 to 5 star so we can prioritize our cases ranking, but also a projected settlement amount, a projected fee after referral fee, and a projected funding date.
Oh my gosh. That's beautiful.
And we have a dashboard where we have a financial target for the year, where we are and what we brought in so far and not where we are combining what we brought in a discounted projection because we take the projected fee and then so let's say it's like a 76 to 90% chance of winning. Then we discount it by 70. We only put 76% of it on the books. So, we want to be a little conservative. And if it's 91 to 100, which is our highest ranking, then we only book 91% of the income because some things are going to go wrong.
Right.
You can't, especially on cases that aren't slam dunks, you can't book the full fee. But we are doing it, and it's making a difference. And it's not as accurate as other kinds of sales forecasting because there are unexpected things. But the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Do you sleep better at night?
It depends on what the numbers show.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, the great thing is, I'll give an example. People felt like they were overwhelmed, but then we looked at our projection. Like we had a record year last year. We look at our projections for this year. We looked at our growth plans. And I realized last September, if I don't get off my butt and market more, I'm not going to meet my projections. I'll have a good 2024, I'll have a mediocre 25 and a horrible 26. And so I told people, I know you all feel overwhelmed right now, but these cases are going to settle in the next 6 months. I need to get my butt out there bringing in cases or, we're not going to be happy next year. And had we not been doing projections and also not doing, we do weekly reporting. Well, it's a dashboard, but we go over it as a leadership team weekly on, number of cases signed up, what it is compared to where we were last year. And, and it's great. Now we're already, the first quarter was better than our first 2 quarters last year on intakes. So
that's awesome.
But it's
and now that you have the data, you can do something. So that's great.
Yeah. And dashboards are so awesome too. You just have to get the right people in place and the right investment in place to get them done. What else did you learn before you went off on your own?
I would say I really learned a lot about the importance of having a strong community and having other lawyers in your network that you can talk to and relate to, and people in your network who are at a higher level than you. I think Arjan did a great job of creating a sense of community within how to manage a small law firm. That's what made it hard for me to leave because there were just under 700 lawyers in that organization. And I love lawyers.
Yeah.
I love all of them so much. And they were so open with each other about the struggles they each had and the challenges they had. within a law firm. You've created that here with the podcast, but outside of the podcast, it's harder to find those communities. And when you have them, there's such a value to it. You want to know your problems are not any different than the person in Oklahoma and the person in Washington. I realized the people who had a personal injury law firm had the same problems as immigration and family law. They all had the same problems. It didn't matter what state they were in or practice area. And being able to share with one another was so special, but also to be around people at that next level because you want to have something to aspire to. And you want to have people in your network you can talk to and ask for advice from so you can scale your law firm and get to that next level. But if you keep your group, your tribe, like you like to say, if you keep your tribe so small that you don't venture off and surround yourself with people who are doing bigger, then it's a lot harder for you to do bigger as well.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons I do the Chris Beck's group, which is stupid, crazy expensive. But most of the time when I'm in meetings, I'm the poorest guy there.
Mm-hmm.
And, I want to be hanging around with people that are, not that I don't do well, I'm very happy with where I am in life, but I want to learn from people that are more successful than me. So I don't want to go in the group where I'd be like the one everyone's learning from. Not that I don't want to share, but I want to go with people that are doing better than me so I can learn from them.
Exactly. No one can tell you how to get there if they haven't done it themselves.
Exactly. I've got an appointment with a doctor on weight loss coaching, but I found a doctor who lost 150 pounds and kept it off for 8 years. That's what I want to learn from. I don't want to learn from someone that's been skinny their whole life or someone that can't keep it off. I want to learn like the person that's done it, and same for law.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So your business now, you said you help lawyers with their basically referral-based marketing. Why did you pick that niche as compared to like being another direct-to-consumer? That's how you set up a website. That's how you.
Well, I mean, you taught me my passion. My passion is other lawyers.
Yeah.
I want to connect lawyers with other lawyers. I see the value in it and I believe in it wholeheartedly. When I went from working with your office to working with Arjon and how to manage a small law firm, I saw it from a different perspective too, because I saw how wonderful it is when lawyers connect with one another and refer business to one another in different practice areas and across the country. And I also think that our industry is changing. And you have ABS now in a variety of states. I don't know if that's going to go away or not. You have 800-pound gorilla law firms that are harder for smaller lawyers to compete with. I don't want to talk to lawyers about how to get cases from people. I want to talk with lawyers about the importance of creating a community and a network of other lawyers that you can refer business to, because I really think that's so special and can help the solo and small law firms that are out there compete with the Morgan and Morgans of the world. And if whatever state they're in has ABS coming around, maybe the people in Arizona will soon see it's really important for us to create a community and a network of lawyers we refer business to, because we can't compete with those high dollar marketing budgets that the big firms have. And so I love it. I believe in it. You help me see that. I don't want to ever stop doing it. And that's my passion. I want to do that every single day.
And for our listeners that aren't hip on the acronym, ABS is alternative business structures when you have hedge funds coming in to take partial ownership of law firms. And it is, it's already here. It's like Arizona, a limited extent in Utah and Washington, D.C. They can already invest. And some of them are doing national ad campaigns, even though like there's a recent Texas ethics opinion saying a Texas lawyer cannot partner up with a lawyer with a non-lawyer owner. But how long will that be in place? And that's an ethics opinion. It's not a court ruling. But even then, there's other ways that private equity has been funding law firms. And I don't know, I've not seen the deals. I've just been told there's other deals that don't involve ownership, but involve an incredible return on investment for them. And, 8-figure plus funding opportunities for the law firms. And it is really hard to compete with that. So I totally agree. Fine. But a lot of those firms also on that kind of volume aren't going to want to litigate, or aren't going to want to litigate a lot.
True. I agree with that. Maybe there's a world where we can all get along and refer business to one another. I would rather err on the side of caution and lay the groundwork now to create my tribe, my network, and be proactive instead of reactive.
What are some of the things, you work with our firm, but you've also worked with hundreds of other law firms when you working with how to run a small law firm. What are some of the things you've seen people do well that it resulted in bringing in more business from referrals or maintaining better relationships?
So I would start by encouraging everyone who's listening to this podcast to find a group of lawyers that they can connect with on a regular basis. So if that's your local trial lawyer association, that's your statewide trial lawyer association, I think it's really important for people to stay involved in the legal community in the area they're in. I also see a huge value in expanding that network to larger organizations across the country so you can connect with lawyers across the country. I know you're a part of AAJ, and I'm a huge fan of AAJ, but I also think there are other organizations out there like ATAA where you can network with other lawyers across the country who do the type of practice area you're in. But on top of that, I loved the community and how to manage a small law firm. And I know there are other organizations like how to manage a small law firm out there. I think there's a huge benefit to being a part of an organization like that. So you can also understand the business and the operation side of running a small law firm because they didn't teach you that in law school. And you can grow your legal network and you can learn how to work on cases. But I think it's really important for lawyers to think to themselves, what am I doing to grow my business and to make sure my business is efficient and profitable? Because what I saw is gross revenue is fake numbers. That's what you talk about at the bar events. It's fun to talk about. I want to know, are you profitable?
Yeah.
Are you actually running your business in a way that makes you profitable? Because I've seen that and gross revenue doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I want to know if you're profitable. And I think having a network like that is really important. If you don't have a network like that, there are a ton of podcasts out there you can listen to where you can get that information and continue to educate yourself for free to make sure you're doing the things you should to run your law firm more efficiently and profitably.
And when you join these organizations, the more you give, the more you get, that law of reciprocity. So if you go in there and you're seen as just a taker, you always, can you get me a case? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? But you never give back. People, they're going to get tired of it. But if you start by giving, people will just want to give back. You won't even have to ask. It really is incredible.
You talk about it all the time. It's that abundance mentality. I
Mm-hmm.
know if I give, I'll get back at some point in time. I'm not going to think about it. You are the same way. And I think that is what makes you a successful person when you go through life having that abundance mentality.
Yeah, and I see it that the most successful lawyers, the people that I want to emulate, a lot of my friends now, and they have that. I mean, I was getting ready for a trial a month ago, and I had something change, and I wanted to try something different. And I text Joe Freed, hey, you have 10 minutes? And he jumps on the phone. He doesn't ask for money. He doesn't ask for my case. And I'll do the same for him. He doesn't need my advice as much as other people do, or I'll pay it forward, but it's great to have friends that will do that. But that's also how you end up. And then Joe ended up bringing me in on a Texas case, which like my ego exploded, of course. But it's really fun to work together with them and other people. But it's just when you start giving, then you start getting.
Yes, absolutely.
What are some things that you've seen where lawyers have lost opportunities because of things that they either did wrong or they didn't do or approached the wrong way?
Ooh, okay. I'm going to give you one answer because if I gave you more, we'd be here all day. The
I
biggest,
got all day. Yeah.
biggest mistake I see is when a lawyer will go to a networking event or they'll go to a lunch, they will meet someone and have a great connection. And that's where the connection ends because they either go back to their office or they go back home and they forget to follow up and they forget to keep in touch and they do nothing. I use the example, it's like if you went on a great date and you had a wonderful time and you both went your separate ways and then you never heard from them again. It blows my mind how many lawyers I see do that day in, day out because they put forth the effort You already invested your time and your energy to go to the event, to meet this person, to have a good connection. Why would you waste it and not follow up? But I see it happen all the time. I will talk with someone and say, "Did you follow up with that lawyer? That sounded great." And they won't. And I see that so often that it kills me because you've already invested your time and your money. You had a great connection, but if you don't follow up, what was it for? You've wasted your time and theirs. There could have been something really wonderful there and it's gone. Follow up. Follow up is the biggest mistake, not just with attorneys, but with marketing professionals too. Because I have seen people who have these great marketing campaigns or they do something and then they don't follow up. You're missing opportunities everywhere.
That's great. I am so guilty of that. And I'm trying to get better. So, like at the Big Rig Boot Camp, I actually have someone whose job it is to follow me and write down the name of whoever I talk to because, I've just spoken for 6-7 hours, talking to 50, 60 people. I have no memory. And then I usually have a drink afterwards. So I have no memory at all that next day of who I spoke to or what we spoke about. And then at events, it seems kind of weird, but I ask people, can I take a picture of your name tag?
Yes.
Because I will have no memory of, because, again, when you start getting, this sounds bad, but when you become more of a name, more people want to talk to you. And, through the podcast and through other things, I'm blessed to speak to a lot of people. And then I already have a really bad memory for names anyway. So if I don't do something to record it that I don't even remember, talk about not following up, I don't even remember who. Now I still have to go back and remember to get those pictures off my phone and then do something with them. But it's an area where I definitely have room for improvement.
Can I just say there's no shame in that? So when I was chief of staff to Arjan, he did his live quarterly meetings every quarter. There were over 600 lawyers in that room each time. They all did the same. They would storm the stage and I would be right there next to him writing notes on all of it. And when you get to that level, it's going to continue to happen. There's no shame in that. Having someone who can support you and remind you who to follow up on is key. That's how the top leaders in our industry and across the country do it. So I think you shouldn't be so hard on yourself.
Oh, I'm not. I'm just saying it's an area where I can improve. I'm thrilled to death where I am in life.
I am too.
I have no problem. But at the same time, you always want to get better. And that is somewhere where I meet all these people around the country and you have these great conversations and then you run into them 6 months later or a year later. And it's just, now you only have so much time in the day, but you can find ways to follow up. You don't need to do like hour-long phone calls with people, but send a note.
Well, and when I coach attorneys on that part of it, what I will say is every event that you have in your calendar, let's sit down and block 30 minutes the next day. You cannot go to an event and not have 30 minutes the next day that's dedicated to write down who did you meet with? Who did you talk to? What information do you have? Do we need to send a follow-up? Because if you don't do it the next day, the other part of it is you lose that momentum. You lose that energy. If 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days passes, it's not the same. And I think the easy fix to that is just saying, if I'm going to go somewhere, I am going to dedicate X amount of time as soon as I get back to make sure I don't forget. And that's helpful. If it's in your calendar, then you know what's going to happen. Unless you move it, and that's on you. But if you save the space, you're much more likely to remember to do that.
Each year, the law firm of Cowan Rodriguez Peacock pays millions of dollars in co-counsel fees to attorneys nationwide on trucking and commercial vehicle cases. If you have an injury case involving death or catastrophic injuries and would like to partner with our firm, please contact us by calling 210-941-1301 to discuss the case in detail and see where we can add value in a partnership. And now, back to the show.
So when I speak on Friday, I need to take pictures of people's name tags. And then when I'm flying home back to San Antonio, I need to make my plan. Okay, perfect.
Yes. That's actually the perfect time when you're flying back.
Absolutely, because nothing else to do but sleep. But yeah. So you are also doing a lot with LinkedIn. And I see you on LinkedIn. You post great because they're not bragging posts. They're informational. They're entertaining. You always have you must have a great photographer too because you always have great pictures.
No, but thank you. I just photograph well. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're photogenic. We're not all blessed in that respect, but tell me a little bit about LinkedIn because you and I talked a little bit offline. I'm slowly begrudgingly coming over to seeing the benefit of LinkedIn. I've been told it was great. I just hate all the spammy people messaging me trying to sell me crap I don't want all the time.
Well, I am a huge LinkedIn fan. I actually just gave a presentation an hour ago to the Mexican American Bar Association about LinkedIn for lawyers. And I think it is a wonderful platform that lawyers can be using to network with other lawyers more efficiently, recruit top talent to want to join their firm, and also generate more attorney case referrals. That's why I love it. I shared this in my presentation and I'll use it now to kind of put it in perspective. But in 2023, the American Bar Association came out with their legal tech report. And what they said was, of all of the attorneys in the American Bar Association, of the attorneys that use social media, 81% use LinkedIn. And when they asked those individuals, why do you use it? They said, for networking and building credibility. Now, that sounds like a huge number. It is. But I guarantee you, they don't maximize their use of the platform. They probably have an account. And if they were to maximize their platform, they would see a huge return. There's a billion people on LinkedIn, so it's a huge place. But if you use it right, you can really be a lot more efficient with your marketing. And I call it low cost, no cost marketing. It doesn't cost anything to go on LinkedIn. The only thing it costs is an investment of your time and your energy. If you want it to cost something, you can pay the $60 a month for premium. You could pay someone on your team to put the content out for you if you want, but it's a huge platform with lots of potential for lawyers to be growing their network, getting people to want to join their firm, and generating case referrals. You practice all over. I'm sure there are tons of times where you're like, man, I need local counsel. You can get that through LinkedIn and feel more confident about who you're contacting because you're connected with them and you see their information. And because of that, you know, like, and trust them. And those are the three things that are really important in marketing when you're thinking about creating a business relationship with someone. I love LinkedIn. I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. I think you should be on it. And I think everyone who's listening to this podcast should be taking full advantage of LinkedIn.
Well, yeah. So I want to get a little advice from you. I've got you on here. I'm sure you normally charge a pretty penny for this, but if you'll give it to me for free, I'm going to take it for free.
Yes.
So I was I was putting out an ad to recruit a lawyer, and I was using LinkedIn, and I had one of my business coaches was looking at it. She goes, you need to work on your LinkedIn profile. You don't have anything but your recent verdicts. You don't have the fact that you wrote a book. You even have one of your 2 law firms not even on there. What are some things that people can do in setting up their LinkedIn profile to gain credibility and make it more likely that when someone looks at them, they're going to say, I want to do business with this person?
I'm going to answer that in 2 different ways. 1, credibility, like you talked about, but 2, also search. The search is just as important. I like to tell people to go on LinkedIn and pretend they're going to refer a case out and do a search for a practice area and the word attorney, and then a practice area and the word lawyer. Because everyone's going to search different, just like a client would trying to find you. PI lawyer, PI attorney. It's the same thing on LinkedIn. So when you are creating your LinkedIn profile, you need to remember to sprinkle in the word attorney and lawyer. Because if someone like me is going on LinkedIn to refer a case out, and I do a search for personal injury attorney, but you have lawyer all over your profile, you're not going to show up higher on that search result. So 1, making sure you have attorney and lawyer throughout your profile. 2, on LinkedIn has something called a headline, and it's the information that's right below your name on your profile. That information shows up in search when someone is searching for you. And one of the biggest problems I see attorneys doing on LinkedIn is they will use the headline to put their job title: managing attorney, associate attorney, partner. That is your job title. But if I'm trying to refer a case out and I see that that headline doesn't actually tell me if you are a personal injury lawyer or a criminal defense lawyer, I don't know what kind of lawyer you are, and I have a problem and I need you to solve it. If I can't solve that problem by looking at your info, you're making it more challenging for me to send you business or call you for business. So, making sure that a lawyer has in their headline the type of practice area they're in is so important, because if I do a search and I forget what practice area you're in, if I can't answer it right away, I'm going to go on to the next. I don't have time to go click on everyone's profile. If I have a problem right now, just like the time we're in right now, I want to solve it right now. You have to make it super easy to refer someone a case. And then 3, services. There is a section in your LinkedIn profile called services. And 9 or 8 times out of 10, when I am looking at attorneys, they are not filling out services in their profile. So if you go to your LinkedIn profile and you hit add a section, LinkedIn's going to show you this box that says core. It's the core sections of your LinkedIn profile to fill out. And one of those sections is services. And one of those drop downs is law. If you click law, you can then select the type of law you practice. And that's so important, because when someone is using LinkedIn for search, you want them to know what kind of law you practice in and what type of case you handle in the search result. You don't want them to search for the info. You want them to see it right away. So they can see it in your headline and they can see it in services. If you add that there, that makes your profile so much more stronger for search, which is exactly what you want. And the last thing, shadow people. Call them shadow people, because no one really knows if this is the right person or not, because their profile shows up and it's just like the outline picture. It's actually no image. And it looks like that person's not on LinkedIn. Their profile is hacked, or maybe they don't even use it because there's a setting in their profile that does that. So I suggest everyone go to their profile, click on their profile image, and a little setting is going to pop up. It's going to ask you, who do you want to see your profile image? And if you click on that image, it's going to show you anyone, which is anyone, not just someone on LinkedIn. You want the public to see your LinkedIn profile, you click anyone. Or you can click all LinkedIn members. So anyone who's looking for you and they have a LinkedIn profile, they can see it. Or your network, which is people who are connected to people you're connected to, or just your first degree connections. And if you do just your first degree connections, people who want to connect with you are going to see this shadow person that I call. And I think you're less likely to have people want to connect with you if you look like you're not on the profile, or you're not even there to network. And it's just a simple change of a setting that can make that change.
Okay, I want to share my screen. So those of you
Yeah.
just listen normally, we can go look at Michael's Cowan's messed up LinkedIn profile. So the first thing is the headline says senior partner at Cowan Rodriguez Peacock. That needs to change, right?
Yes, I would change that to something that lets people know you are the person they go to with serious, catastrophic, and wrongful death cases.
So if I scroll down and look at other people I know, like it says Marion Munley, who's a good friend of ours, personal injury lawyer, trucking expert, trial attorney, litigation, catastrophic loss, medical malpractice, other speaker.
So I love that it says personal injury lawyer, because I know exactly what practice area she's in. I like that it says trucking expert, because I know she handles trucking cases. But I would end her headline with trial attorney, because everything after that in a search, if people are on mobile, they're probably only going to see like half that headline. And so I would think about the most important information you want someone to see and probably only use half of that.
Okay.
So if you wanted to do a headline, I might put something like trial lawyer, trucking, and catastrophic injury cases. The The reason why I say trial lawyer is because you are a trial lawyer. And I think you should put that on there so people know. And trucking is something you do specialize in, you know very well. Catastrophic injury, you could take one of those cases in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely. Just tried one
Yeah, there you go.
last week. So
Perfect.
so now I've changed that, and now it says Michael Cowan, trucking lawyer, line trucking and catastrophic injury cases. Now I'm going to click on my picture,
Uh-huh.
and right here it has a little eyeball that
Oh,
says your network. So that means only people that are already my friends can see my picture, right? I'm a shadow
yes.
person.
You are a shadow person. Okay, we're going to fix that.
So I should hit anyone?
It's up to you.
Well,
I would click anyone.
my picture is already out there. I've got a website with my picture. It's not like
Yes. I would
so.
click anyone. I'm also going to blow your mind for a second.
Okay.
AI is here. It's not if, it's not when, it's now. AI pulls information from everywhere. If your LinkedIn profile is public and you are putting valuable information out there, people are engaging, people are commenting, people are sharing it. There will come a point where your content on LinkedIn will be shared as a response from AI like ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to take advantage of that and maximize the chances that you might get a case from ChatGPT, because I know a lawyer in Georgia who already got a case from ChatGPT, it's happening. You can make that change by making your profile public and being active on LinkedIn. So AI thinks, oh, hey, that's a thought leader. That
Yep.
person knows what they're talking about. This is an AI response I should be sharing.
Because 5 years from now, no one's going to Google San
No.
Antonio personal injury lawyer. They're going to ask ChatGPT, I have this case. What lawyer should I hire?
I 1,000% believe that. Some people might think I'm crazy, but do you remember when Surrey came out and everyone was like, oh, are people really going to ask Surrey, give me a personal injury lawyer from San Antonio? They did.
Yep.
And people are doing that now on ChatGPT.
Absolutely. And I was upset because I wasn't listed as one of the ones that initially recommended. And then I asked ChatGPT what I would need to do to be recommended. And it told me what it considered and what changes I would need to make the top 5 list.
Yeah, you could do it. You could do it.
Over time, but you pretty much have to be a direct consumer firm to make it because a lot of the same things that get you the Google juice to be, to have a high organic ranking on Google is the same things that ChatGPT says it considers. So it's, the authority on your website, people that link to you, positive reviews, those kind of things all matter to ChatGPT just like they matter to Google.
They do. I would also, this is a pro tip. Pro tip for anyone, let me save you a couple $1,000s from a digital marketing agency by this one piece of advice. If you are going to put any content out there on your LinkedIn, if it's a photo or a video, make sure the file name of that photo or video has your name in it. Because now you've uploaded to the platform. The platform is public. Now you're increasing your search results. Just that one little thing will make a difference.
Okay, I got to go back to my notes because I've taken so many notes in addition to the notes I had about what questions to ask. I'm getting a lot out of this and I really appreciate it.
Good. Oh, you're welcome.
So you talked about combining when we were meeting separately, you talked about combining LinkedIn and in-person networking. Tell me about that.
Yes. So if you were on LinkedIn to network, I am a firm believer you should be using InMail, which is basically email within LinkedIn, to connect with people. If you think connection is going to happen in posts and comments, that's a fraction of it. But the real connection happens in those direct messages. And so, one of the examples I love, and everyone can do this, if you're going to go to an event, maybe it's a local bar event, or maybe it's a conference, I would dedicate some time to use LinkedIn and send that information to people you want to meet with, people you want to create a relationship with, and say, hey, Michael, I'm going to this CLE next week on apples and oranges. Are you also going to the CLE next week on apples and oranges? I'd love to connect. It's a great way to connect because A, you're going to find out if Michael is going to the CLE on apples and oranges. B, if Michael is not going to the CLE on apples and oranges, maybe Michael will go because you've told him about the event. C, if Michael didn't know about the event, he is now thankful that you gave him an opportunity to attend this event. And worst case scenario, if someone's like, no, I'm not going, you can say, well, it's been a while. Let's find some time to meet. It's a great, I don't want to say excuse. It's a great opportunity to reach out to someone, stay top of mind, find out who's going to be at the event, perhaps get more people to go to the event and maximize your time there. Time is money. If I'm going to invest my time to go to a networking event, it's not just the time at the networking event. You have to drive there. You have to go to the event. You have to drive back home. You are now going to put in your calendar the next day, the follow up that you're going to do after to remember to follow up. That's like a solid 2 hours of time right there. If you're going to invest your time to do it, why not maximize the relationships you're creating on LinkedIn to say, hey, are you going too? And see if you can meet some of these people you're connecting with on LinkedIn in person. And if you don't, it's a good opportunity to stay top of mind. And I'm a huge fan of doing anything that helps you stay top of mind.
I think that's great. I think another really critical part of your advice was that you're inboxing or in messaging somebody on LinkedIn saying, hey, are you going to go to this? Hey, can we get together? Not, I've paid millions of referral fees. Send me your cases.
No,
Not a spammy, because
not at all. Not at all. I'll give you one more piece of advice. Some people are going to think it's a little too aggressive, but it works. I pay the $60 for premium. So I see who looks at my LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm.
I make money off that information. I set 15 minutes of time every single Monday to look at who has looked at my LinkedIn profile. And what I will do is send whoever looked at my LinkedIn profile, who I want to connect with or talk to, a message that just says, hi, saw you in my profile view feed. Just want to thank you for stopping by. Have a great week. That's it, because I don't want to be weird. I don't want to be weird. It would be weird if I said something else. It would be weird if I was like, saw you looking. What's up? No,
Yep.
I am just cracking open a door. Sometimes people get busy in life. These are lawyers. They all have busy practices. Someone probably walked in or they have a million things going on in their mind or they're preparing for trial. They looked for a reason. If they looked for a reason and they want to talk about that reason, I have now opened the door to be like, hi, do you want to talk? And I have made business and money off of those conversations because sometimes those people say, you're right, I was looking. I wanted to ask you about this. And it leads to business. Lawyers can all do the same thing. Maybe someone was looking at your profile because you're like, I have this case. I was thinking about asking for advice. Or they were looking at your profile because they're like, you know what? I want to connect with this person. I want to see what they're about. And they have a reason, but they haven't sent that connection request. I think there's value and there's real gold in looking at who looked at your profile and deciding if you feel comfortable enough to send a message, because sometimes those messages can bring you business.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess I get that because I do see who's viewed by profile because I pay the premium. I think the premium also lets you be able to view other people's profile without revealing your identity.
Yeah, it's
which
setting
for
if you want
recruiting is sometimes useful because, one of the things we do is we kind of do a LinkedIn search for a certain area, geographic area, and certain type of lawyer. And then we, see is this the kind of person we'd want to recruit or not? Then we can
Yeah.
reach out directly to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you've given us a ton of free information, and I know I've got 4 pages now of notes of stuff I want to try to implement, although time is a big problem for me as far as implementation. What do you do for people that actually work with you and hire you?
Yeah, so my consulting side of my roster is full, so I don't have any openings on that side. And the other part of my business is LinkedIn training for lawyers. So I made a decision. I want to train lawyers how to use LinkedIn to create relationships and build a professional network and get case referrals from LinkedIn. But I just don't want to help one person here and one person there. I want to have a real impact in a law firm. Like, I got so much joy when I could help you and your law firm. If I can offer that same value to other lawyers who want to do the same and train their lawyers as a team, I could really change the world. I know that sounds kind of goofy, but I really truly believe it. And so the other part of my business is just saying, if you have a law firm and you want me to help train your lawyers, I will cater that training to what you want. and do what I'm doing with you right now and show you how to do it on LinkedIn, because the only cost it is your investment of your time or the premium membership. It's right there, and everyone should be doing it.
Awesome. And if people want to find you to either sign up for that training or maybe try to get on the waiting list in case you ever have a consulting spot open up, where do they find you?
They can go to www.firstcallfriday.com. And first is spelled out. Because if you're
All
not
right.
sure what to do, first call Friday.
Absolutely. And that'll be in the show notes. Well, Delisi, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming on board. I look forward to seeing you more and more.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michael.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on Trial Lawyer Nation. I hope you enjoyed our show. If you'd like to receive updates, insider information, and more from Trial Lawyer Nation, sign up for our mailing list at triallawyernation.com. You can also visit our episodes page on the website for show notes and direct links to any resources in this or any past episode. To help more attorneys find our podcast, please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast on any of our social media outlets. If you'd like access to exclusive, plaintiff lawyer-only content and live monthly discussions with me, send a request to join the Trial Lawyer Nation Insider Circle Facebook group. Thanks again for tuning in. I look forward to having you with us next time on Trial Lawyer Nation.
Each year, the law firm of Cowan Rodriguez Peacock pays millions of dollars in co-counsel fees to attorneys nationwide on trucking and commercial vehicle cases. If you have an injury case involving death or catastrophic injuries and would like to partner with our firm, please contact us by calling 210-941-1301 to discuss the case in detail and see where we can add value in a partnership. This podcast has been hosted by Michael Cowan and is not intended to, nor does it create the attorney-client privilege between our host, guest, and any listener for any reason. Content from the podcast is not to be interpreted as legal advice. All thoughts and opinions expressed herein are only those from which they came.